All right. All right, I just reloaded it. Tell me if this changes things for you guys. Oh, we're back. Chad is back. All right. All right. I see it's all back in play now. Okay. All right. Dominic, thank you for supporting the show. Shave the Knuckles for Justice. Plantastic Life. I think Richard Ojeda is going to become more popular than many expect. Thoughts? Yeah, you bring up an interesting point, Plantastic. There's talk of him running for president, and I know we were all a little disappointed on election night that he didn't win, but he got a lot of national attention, and I think you're right. I think he's going to really shake stuff up because he kind of is pretty unyielding. You know, he's just a straightforward progressive, and he has this very no-nonsense approach, which is what progressives need. You know, we've all often said we need a progressive Trump, not offensive rapist, but you know, with the Klan behind him, but like that, that sort of tough talking and populist and no nonsense, you know. And I think he could do it. Ojeda could do it. I think it's really, you know, I was a little despondent after the election, as many of us were, but I watched the conversation that Jimmy Dore had with Kyle Kulinski, and you know, Kyle brought up some really good, interesting points and statistics about the results of the election are a little more positive in his eyes than we might think, and I tend to agree with that. And so it made me think, and this is to your question here about Ojeda, is getting this in the national conversation. I was just saying before we had all the tech shit happen, is that the part of it is getting this on the public eye, getting people talking about it and knowing who this guy is. As I was saying, it's good that Ocasio-Cortez went to that protest outside of Pelosi's office, because now the mainstream government, Fox News, is talking about a Green New Deal. And people are talking about this Ojeda guy, and it's really forcing the Democratic Party. Another example of that, you know, we were all I was very, initially was bummed out that, you know, Kevin Mejia only got 26% of the vote or something like that. I was like, man, you know, if he would have got 40% or something. But I looked at it this way, and I was kind of reminded of this in listening to Kyle Kulinski talk with Jimmy. So while I'm a proponent of open primaries, and, you know, some people criticize it, and I don't think open primaries is perfect. It's not a silver bullet, but I do like it, because had there been no open primaries in California, in the 34th district where Mejia ran, and then Rodolfo ran in the 40th district, I believe, they would have run in the general. It would have been a Democrat, a Republican, then the, you know, Libertarian and Green, and they would have been on a ballot with 4 or 5 candidates, right? Whereas, and Kenneth Mejia, if he would have run under that format, he would have got 3% of the vote, 5% maybe. Going head to head with a Democrat, he got 26% of the vote. Again, we were all disappointed. I wish he would have won, but 26% actually isn't as bad the more I think about it, because he would have got 3 to 5% of the vote without open primaries. And what he's doing when you run against a Democrat in a completely Democratic is you're forcing the Democrat then actually had to campaign. Because if the Democrat was running against a Republican, then all they got to do is say, we're not Trump. Yep, the Republican's a Trumper. I'm a Democrat. You got to vote for me. It's a blue district. So now when you've got a Green running against the Democrat, the Green is going more left. So the Democrat, then what is happening is we are pulling the Democratic Party more left, because they're seeing the numbers. more people are voting for progressive policies. That was the other thing that we talked about on my chat on election night, and Kyle and Jimmy were talking about this as well. Progressive ballot measures won overwhelmingly. These big ones, like the Florida with the ex-cons, and like, I mean, they're winning. Some of these ballots won by 60-some% of the vote, which is huge, which shows you where people are. You know, people want Medicare for all. People want medical marijuana and all this stuff. So I think what's happening is, and people like Ocasio-Cortez and Ojeda, even though he lost, are pulling the Democratic Party to the left. And I think that conversation, and it was one of the things Kyle said, like, I don't know that it needs to be either or. Can the Democratic Party be reformed and do we need a third party? And it's like, let's do both. I would love it if the Democratic Party got reformed and got more Ocasio-Cortez's in it, pulling it more left. That would be great. And let's have a viable third party. You know, isn't that what we want truly in America? If we're going to have a representative democracy, we should have 4 or 5 parties that are vibrant, that instead of just this talking about Congress is, you know, now it's a Democratic Congress and then we have a Republican Senate. What if we had Congress? What if no party had a majority in Congress? What if there were 10, 15 Greens and another dozen Libertarians, and, you know, and on top of however many Democrats and Republicans? Then you'd have to have bills. You know, you'd have, because like someone would introduce a bill and then someone would attach a bunch of pork nonsense to it. The Greens or whatever could come in and go, no, this bill doesn't address the environment enough. You're calling it the green something, but it doesn't do it enough, because that's how it's done. And when you just have 2 parties, like people always would tell me, like, oh, if we have too many independents, then what's Congress going to do? Well, they're going to have to come up with bills that to get the independents and the third party candidates to get on board with. And people are like, well, that will never get anything done. We're not getting anything done now when we only have 2 parties. I think that's what a democracy truly is people being represented and people discussing and debating the issues. So that's the takeaway I'm seeing from the midterms. It's actually a little more positive than I initially felt. You know, it would have been great if we sent 2 Greens to Congress out of California. That would have been great. But both of them that ran in California forced the Democrats to you know, they got to wake up, because Mejia's going to run again. He's young. He's 28 years old. He's going to run again. We're going to get Greens in Congress and Senate. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And it's good. It forces it shows the Democratic Party for who they are, and it forces them to have to go left. They can't just run on, oh, we're not Trump. So it's a really positive thing, I think. Chris Wynn says Richard Ojeda is going to win over a lot of people. He has stronger anti-corruption messages than Bernie, I think. Yeah, I think so. So let's hope you can all see all this. It's all working. Can everyone see me? Let's go back to the live control. God, sorry, this is so problematic. All right. Jilly Love, Green Tsunami 2020. Okay, good. Everything's working perfectly now. Great. Redneck Economics, good to see you. Yes, he's been open and honest so far. Doesn't distance himself from talking with constituents. Yeah, I think that's the thing I saw in the interview with Ojeda, and I think that's going to resonate with people around the country, you know. So that's a really good thing. I'm glad you guys can all see and hear me. David went, chat got nuked right after my post about Extinction Rebellion organizing direct action on climate. Yeah, weird. Ooh, Redneckonomics. You're going to go to Ojada's presidential campaign announcement tomorrow in Kentucky. Going to try to ask him about foreign policy. Good for you. Good for you. Scrabble Eddie just says, U.S. has killed more than 20 million people in 37 victim nations since World War II. Yeah, global research. I remember doing a video about that. But this is a good point. And Chris Wynn is bringing up here, I hope Mejia gets in Congress in 2020 or at least 2022. Once we get one green in Congress, it will explode third parties can't win narrative and we'll get more green votes. Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing I keep saying is, in the latest video I put out, you know, it's death of a thousand cuts. This is how we have to go after the ruling class. We have to, you know, push green candidates and progressives like Ojeda. I'm all for a progressive. I don't care. Like when Sam Ronan ran as a Republican in a Republican district, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Chris Wynn, Mejia got about 26% of the vote. And that's the thing I was just saying, is that, of course, that looks low, like, oh man, but if he would have ran in the general election against 4 or 5 candidates, he would have got 3 or 5% of the vote. So getting 26% of the vote, and you're forcing the Democrats to realize they're going to have to, this isn't going away. And we need more people like Kenneth Mejia, especially in really, you know, blue districts where they're so used to just running against, you know, a Republican and just saying, oh, we're better than them. We got to out left the Democrats as hard as we can. It's good to hear Marcia Smith is healed up from the neurosurgery. I get a knee replacement scale. All right. Move scale, skip the greens, and what about socialist alternatives? Well, this is the one. I don't think we need to pick an either or. We need to, like, I'd love for some socialist candidates, like a socialist party. I'd love for a third party to get strong, or the Green Party to get more money behind it. I'm all for it. You need a big name person to either join the Green Party or form a third party, like the Movement for a People's Party. State coding was good. Redneckonomics said, got medical marijuana pass, right on. Chris Wynn, the fact that he got second in the primaries is already saying something about the Green Party. I think he will reach 30 to 35% in 2020 in the minimum or more. What if, obviously this is the kid's 27, 28 years old. He ran his first campaign. He made it out of the primary and made it into the general with 26, 27% of the vote. I'm sure he learned so much how to campaign, and he'll run again, you know, get some real money behind him and pay close attention to the Democrat that beat him. So if the Democrat does anything voting for any corporate anything, he can come back and say, look what this person did. Look how they sold you out. This is what I would do, you know? Petition, that's what I would be. I would stay in the public eye. You're young, you're 28, you know, fundraising is a big part of being a politician in this country. So figure that out. How can Kenneth Mejia raise more money to run another election? That's what you got to do. It's a big thing. Ravenhead Dawn, Graham, I have a question for you. What would your advice be for someone who wants to get into politics / journalism? Sell your soul. Join up with the pharmaceutical companies and big oil. What I would say is do it for 100% ethical reasons. Don't do it for anything other than I want the truth. The reason I do this show, the truth. I just want to speak the truth. I want to talk about it. I want to shed light on the bullshit. And I want people to wake up the way I've woken up. That's why I'm a journalist. Which even that's a strong word. I just feel like a comedian with a strong political opinion. So, and if you're going to run into politics, you start with, I am not going to concede my ethics or morals just to win. I think that's what happens to a lot of people. They get into politics and they tell themselves they're doing it for the right reasons. And then they're competitive, ego, whatever. I got to win. I got to win. And then I just make this little concession to win and that little concession. And then there we go. So do it for the right reasons. And I would look at, don't play ball the big money people, because the minute you get some people behind you, the minute you get some power, you get some voters, that's when they come at you with either the money or the smears. So be ready for that. Look at the shit Ocasio-Cortez has to take. Fox News is calling her some wingnut socialist. People on the left were like, you should stop going after Pelosi. This woman I saw on Twitter with 50,000 Twitter followers, and she's this big liberal. She calls herself the liberal grandma or something like that. Oh, God, stop protesting Pelosi. Pelosi's battle tested. I hear all these dumb Democrats saying Pelosi's battle tested. I mean, by battle tested, you mean sells us out to the corporations the first chance she gets? So be ready for that, is what I would say to someone that's going to run. Be ready to get, I would take a lot of shit just for doing this. Look at all the crazy crap they've accused Bernie of and everything else. And they're going to come after. They're already coming after Ocasio-Cortez. Look what they're doing. So that's my suggestion. Yeah, Redneck and I was talking about Ojeda. Pushed legislature when they wanted to give teachers half measures. Jilly Love 101. Until Ojeda condemns killing for empire imperialism, I can't support him. It's a fair thing to have. I don't know what you're talking about, Hislam. 666B system. Oh boy. Getting close to that big B. Scrabble Eddie. Green Party has first state House caucus in history. Now 2 Green state representatives. Which state are you talking about? I missed some of your other posts, Scrabble Eddie. Plantastic Life in reference to Jilly Love's statement about Ojeda. It's tough for some veterans to call our wars imperialistic. They don't want the families of fallen soldiers to think their family member died for an ignorant cause. Yeah, I know. I know. That's the thing about vets running. They have a hard time saying we were over there for bullshit corporate reasons. They really, and I get that. It's like, I don't want to feel like, I don't want to feel like my friends died for nothing, for a ridiculous cause. I get that. And they feel like they're disobeying command, which is a big deal. But if that's your purity test for Ojeda, stick with it. Moose Gal, Graham, what do you think about Pelosi not having votes for the speaker? The question just got pumped away. Yeah, the interesting thing, Pelosi's, there's a bunch of Democrats wrote a letter saying they don't want her to even run again. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, because when she won 2 years ago, it was like, oh boy, there's a lot of backlash over that. The Republicans they love it when she's Speaker of the House, because their fundraising goes up because they can just point to her and say, look, oh, this awful Democrat. So we need, don't want her there. She's got a lot of money and a lot of power, and so I don't see her giving it up easily. And when she's out of the public eye like that, then there goes her fundraising. So she's going to fight tooth and nail. That's why the Hillary has gone so crazy. Because if the Clintons aren't elected officials and they have no influence, then why would anyone give money to their foundation? Because that's what the foundation is. You buy favor with the Clintons when they're in power. They're not. That's why they won't give it up. Maine Greens. Ooh, okay. This is in Maine. Let me read the story. All right. So the Maine has got all of these. All right. The Maine Green Party, right on. Cool. Thanks for sending me that, Scraboletti. Jesus Zamora, did you hear about the ranked choice voting in Maine went well? Yeah, I did a story about it. They had, ranked choice in their primary went well. And yeah, that's more states should look to what Maine's doing. Now they got a caucus, they got a green caucus. That's what states should, this is how you do it. Vote, get Greens in your state legislature. It'll make it easier for one to then become a United States rep. And ranked choice voting is fantastic. I'm all for it. I'm all for any of the stuff that helps election reform. I'm all for it. Katie Hughes, I can't help but think when Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high, that she was secretly talking about the bombing the 7 other countries we are now. Yeah. Phil Prziski, Graham, do you think Hillary is going to run for the title or the payday? Well, she is an egomaniac. Her and her husband are, narcissists. So I think she just can't stomach the idea that she lost to Trump and she's not going to be the first female president. Like, she just was going to say, I'm the first. That was it. So I feel like she'll do it for both. I mean, she doesn't need the money, but she needs the power and the influence. So if the Clintons aren't somewhere in office, then there's no point of their foundation. But I think Hillary's going to run again in 2020. She's going to try. She's going to try. And if the Democrats let her get the nomination again, it might actually be the best thing ever for a third party. Because somebody would just go, no. Dave McLaughlin, will you be doing more on MMT? Yeah, there's more people I'm going to interview on that. I really, those conversations I had, the more MMT economists that I can get on the show, the better. I absolutely will. Yeah, Hillary has big venues booked for April. Oh boy. Yeah, Marsha Smith, Hillary will run again and again and again because she's one sick puppy. Absolutely. Don't forget, guys, you can donate on Streamlabs. Yeah, if Hillary runs again, I think we will see a third party. Like, I think somebody like Bernie or Tulsi or somebody will just say, nope, that's it. KCH Miller, Germany has mixed party system with ranked choice voting. We had a government with Green Party secretaries. Right on. Jesus Zamora, do you think the reason for the housing crisis in California is because wages aren't keeping up with housing costs or the shortage of units built? before Bush recession. I tell you what, there is not a shortage of housing units. Here's what's happening in California, but specifically in Los Angeles. The developers are pumping up the rents. And that's why we needed Prop 10 to pass. But of course, people, thought, oh, they're going to kick vets out of their homes if you vote for Prop 10 or whatever. Their ads were the scared senior citizen. No, I'm going to lose my home. Be scared. Don't vote. What is happening in California, first of all, after the 08 recession, developers and management companies bought up all these single family homes because people couldn't get mortgages after the crash in 08. And so they rented these homes out and they just kept pumping up the rents. So that's what's going on. They're pumping up the rent statewide, and they spent $45 million on this No on Prop 10 campaign, and they were successful. That's why property values keep going and rents keep going up in California. And we could have had more rent control, but we can't. And we could have had even more regulated rent control. So that's what I've seen. It's the developers and the management companies. That's why the rents are so high. And they buy politicians, and this is what happens. But there's going to come a breaking point where people can't pay their rent. There's going to be a breaking point. Yeah, KCH Mueller, back to the Greens and the German government, kept them out of the Iraq mess. See what happens when you start getting Greens in there? They vote stuff down. Yeah. Hey, you have a good point. Good to see you. As long as Hillary has the blood of young virgins to feed on, which maintains her vitality, she'll make a run at the White House. That sounds like facts. People are power. Could lobbyists be forced to face staff of all parties and independents to pitch their ideas and answer questions? Could this make them accountable? That's a great question. I don't know. That's a good question. I'm glad my show and weed help you get through the week, Phil. That's good. Well, now we're on a vampire kick. Snork Y2K. I'm hoping that Pelosi loses speaker position. She will rage quit like Astro did. Yeah. That would be great if she doesn't get it. She'll take a swing at Ocasio-Cortez and be like, you kids today don't understand. Yeah. Chris Wynn, do you make a living from Patreon and comedy, or do you have other day jobs? No, I make a living from Patreon, and I just did stand-up last night in Bakersfield, and my other podcast, Comedy Film Nerds. That's how I make my money. I've got 2 comedy albums. Like I have why am I blanking on that? But I have 2 comedy albums, and they bring me in some revenue. And I make Pandora, like if you listen to Pandora, there's a Graham Elwood channel on Pandora. You can see my 2 albums, listen to my 2 comedy albums there. So if you listen to Pandora and do thumbs up, I get paid from that. I just, like most people in entertainment, I just try to do every little thing I can to keep myself afloat. I was directing that TV show earlier in the year, so that was my main source of income there for a while. But right now, Patreon and comedy are what are paying my bills. So I live in a rent-controlled apartment. Chili Love, I heard Barbara Lee doesn't want to be speaker. Maybe the Dem Mafia made her say that. Yeah, you have no idea what kind of pressure they're putting on anybody. You know, Pelosi's playing a hardball, she's battle tested. Oof. Layered Life. We need to support legislation against pesticides. Food is poison in mass. Bees are our friends. We can't lose them. Just as important as any issue right now. Yeah, I think it's a good thing to bring up. I think it's the environmental issue on all fronts is like our biggest issue right now, and anything like that. And that's what I'm saying. We got to, at every turn, introduce something to ban pesticides. Don't let them weaken organic food standards, like how you get an organic food rating. And it's a really important thing. I think it was Nikki Glazer was posting videos. She was in, I think, Salt Lake City. And Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a pro-vegan rally. Now, we talk a lot about this. And going vegan is one of the better things you can do for the environment. And going organic is one of the better things, and banning pesticides, banning single-use plastic. We got to do this at every turn. And it's a good thing that you bring up. Hey, Redneck Economics, check out our show. Stevie, have not seen you in a while. So great to have you back here. Please watch Redneck Economics. That's the name of her channel. She does news and gives you want to know what's going on in West Virginia. That's the show I would watch. Thanks for the agenda to discussion. Talk to you later. Right on. Stevie, it's been a while since I'd love to interview you again, see what's been going on. And we can discuss what happened specifically in West Virginia from the midterms. So it's great to have you back. So check out Redneck Economics. Support other independent media outlets. Plantastic Life, thank you for supporting the show. James from Montauk advocates that Greens focus on national elections and not local elections, because they do so poorly in most local elections. I'd love to talk to James from Montauk. I've reached out to him, and hopefully he'll get back to me and get set something up. I want to discuss that with him, because I must say I don't agree with that, for the reason that we just found out about Maine. I think you don't have to do either or, because I think there are Greens that have won in local and smaller elections. And I think raising from the ground up is a good plan, because then you can do what we were just talking about. So banning pesticides. If you get Greens on a local government, they could pass pesticides just in that area or that county or that state. And I don't know one of the reasons I think it's hard for people to vote for like a green presidential candidate is because there's not enough greens anywhere else. So I think like if you win more, if you get more greens running and greens winning offices, then it makes it easier for people to swallow on a national level. That's just my thought. I appreciate you bringing that up, Dominic, and I'd love to talk to James from Montauk about that. Natural Progressive, thanks for supporting the show. Utah Animal Rights Commission, Salt Lake City, 9618. Right on. Cool. Check out Natural Progressive. Going to be interviewing her again next week. Booscal Graham, people think there is no nutritional value in eating organic produce from commercial. Americans complain that organic products are too expensive. Yeah, they are. Yeah. And that shows you that's something to address, like people like Monsanto who make regular natural food more expensive. You know, they make organic food more expensive. And that's a tough thing. And I get it. You know, you're trying to feed a bunch of kids and you go to the store and the organic product is 40 to 50% more, or in some case double. I get it. It's why, going back to this whole discussion, getting more greens and more progressives in any position is huge. Because these are like banning the pesticides that we just talked about. I think it's, we got to attack it on every corner. Everything should be about protecting the environment. Without it, we're all going to die. So that should be the goal. That should influence everyone's decision-making. That's my point. Julie Love, every penny spent on healthy food saves you from illness. The worst thing there is. Yeah. Yeah, and the more we buy organic, the cheaper it gets. Yeah, Monsanto has a quasi-monopoly on seed material. Layered Life. Yeah, I'm from a family plan, a farming family here in Texas. We sold our crops once BP came in the late 90s, making us use their seeds and hire crop testers. Marcia Smith. Wow, thank you for sharing us with that. Yeah, Bayer did buy Monsanto. Americans eat too much because empty calories do not fuel body and immune system. Feed the body. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Dave McLaughlin. End all wars by implementing the Bush war rule. If you vote, promote, or profit from war, your children go to the front line on day one. Absolutely. Chris Wynn, been eating less meat lately. Good for you. Bernard Foster Graham, I found my first gray hair. Is my life over? No, dude. I got a lot of gray up here. I got a lot of gray hair. Your life is not over. You know, it's okay. Just live healthy. That's what I do. I just look good with my shirt off, and that keeps me feeling young, even though my hair looks old. My hairline is definitely changing, but you know, don't worry about it. Don't give up hope. Yeah, Whole Foods is very expensive. Barcode Teacup. There is a market for local grown food. You have to buy and support local first. Vote with your dollars. That's a great point. Yeah, I mean, farmers markets where they sell organic produce. You're buying right from a farmer. Co-ops, you know, family-owned grocery stores. Stuff like that's the way to do it. We always talk about it. Vote with your dollars. Thanks for bringing that up. Male pattern baldness means you have a lot of testosterone. Nestle poisons the water. Yeah. Yeah, we recently got a farmer's market store in my area. It's getting a lot of business. Yeah, support local farmers. And that's the other thing too. A farmer shows up and they, have organic produce and you support it, they're going to make more of it. The organic industry has definitely grown because more people are buying it. When you see all the study after study of all the, contaminated food and the illnesses that it causes and all this stuff. Yeah, meat is cheaper than veggies here. Well, Katie Hughes, you say you live in a house where people would rather submit to their cravings, myself included, than eat healthier. Here's the thing with eating healthy. People who are like, friends of mine, Graham, wow, you eat so healthy. I didn't just do it overnight. It wasn't like I was sitting around drinking beer and eating pizza. And then the next morning I just stopped. I just went, boom. I did it gradually. I made little changes in my life. I stopped drinking 16 years ago, 16 and a half years ago. Then, 2 years prior to that, I stopped eating meat. And I found alternatives. And then slowly I just make this change and that change and this change. And then I started eliminating dairy, which I can't say I do every day. I can't say I'm 100% strict vegan every day of the week. I can't say that. But it's the little changes. You make the little change. I used to do all these other different kinds of workouts and stuff. And then I got into yoga. Experiment, try little things here and there. And don't beat yourself up because you got to overhaul your entire, that's crazy. Just take a little step here. Do portion control. Do the thing like you like getting the cheeseburger instead of cheeseburger and fries, get cheeseburger and a salad. Still get the big crazy cheeseburger, but now you're going salad instead of fried foods. Just little things like that. Have the apple. I know it sounds like shit your grandmother used to say, but it's the little things like that. If you can afford it, buy some organic produce and don't beat yourself up when you can't. Use this term, progress, not perfection. 2 steps forward and 1 step back is still 1 step forward. So don't beat yourself up when everything that you're eating isn't 100%, but just do little things here. Buy cleaners, household cleaners that are plant-based, that are all natural. So you're not, again, voting with your dollars on all those things. Maybe I'll do a video if you guys want. I'll do a video and I'll go through and show you all the household cleaners and products that I use that are all natural. I buy Kleenex and paper towels and stuff that are made from recycled products. I'll do a video like that if you guys want. Use a bike to go shopping. I tried monk fruit to substitute for sugar. There's so many things you can do. Use honey. Stevia is a really good sweetener that's better for you. Read the labels on products. There's a lot of things you can do. How far do Corp Dems have Facebook over a barrel? Facebook, think you may have another quite severely. Yeah. I drink green tea. I was never a big coffee drinker, and when you use tea, you can use honey in there. Yeah. Biking is impossible outside of downtown Indianapolis, but every year I see more people biking, even in the winter. Right on. Oh. Well, yeah, Marcia, maybe with the new knee, we'll see. I understand some of you are like, I don't have mobility for biking, or I don't live in an area. I always say find even just one little thing. One day a week you use a bike instead of your car or something like that. And I know many of you, like, you live out in the country, you don't have public transportation, or an electric car doesn't work. You know, they're starting to make, I saw a hydrogen pump at a gas station this morning. And that was pretty cool to see. There's hydrogen cars out there. And again, you don't have a network of hydrogen fueling stations in your state, start petitioning for it. Schulte, when I need beer, you're awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining. Moose Gal, Graham, I enjoy your environmental tips video. I'm learning a lot from you. You inspire me to be a better citizen. Take care of yourself. Do you microwave your green tea? No, I do not microwave my green tea. I get loose leaf green tea that I got from this Japanese store. I got turned on a loose leaf green tea when I was in Japan. Oh my God, it's so good. So I get loose leaf green tea, and I have one of these pots, and I pour the hot water. It's boom, boom, boom. During the Gulf oil disaster, limonene for cleaning sand was banned because it left the stand so clean that the amount of oil could be measured, which would have cost BP $50,000 a barrel. Oh, Jesus. Professor on Gilligan's Island. Loose leaf tea, Moose Gal, is fantastic. It's the best tea. Little tea bags. We don't know what we're doing here. Loose leaf tea is amazing. Yeah, it's the only way to make tea. Tea does help. I'm drinking a lot of tea. Well, guys, I'm going to have to cut this short because I can feel my throat. Yeah, it was hard for me to talk this past week because I was so sick. So I was able to talk for a little over an hour. But I had to do a show last night, so I got to save my voice. But you guys are great, and I got to cut this. I know I usually go 90 minutes, but I wanted to see how long I could go today. So I wanted to thank Redneckonomics, Plantastic Life, and the Natural Progressive, and David Wint, and Plantastic Life again for supporting the show. You guys are great. I don't think there's anyone on Streamlabs. No? Okay, cool. But you can always donate to Streamlabs whenever you want. Thank you all. David Wint, what you do is hugely important. Thank you. As John Lennon once said, once you've got violent, they know how to handle it. The only thing they don't know how to handle is nonviolence and humor. Yeah, they can't handle it. Yeah. I'm a good cracker. Ha ha. So thank you all. I hope you guys have a great celebrate it, Thanksgiving Day or Indigenous Peoples Day here in America. However you celebrate that. I hope you're with friends and family and it's cool. Going to be doing, I'm better now, so I'll be able to be releasing videos back to a normal rate as I would. What do you think us Brits were so pissed off when you dumped a shitload of tea in the sea? Yeah, all of California is sore throats. But you guys are great, and I'm glad I'm back, and thank you for supporting the show. And of course, Florida, January 9th through the 12th, Ron Placona and I Progressive Comedy Tour. That's happening. Looks like February we're looking at Hawaii. I'm about to lock that down. March we've got Pensacola and New Orleans, and April we're already getting something in Dallas Fort Worth, I believe. So we're setting up Texas in April. So get ready, folks. Get ready. Progressive Comedy Tour is coming to you. Go to grahamella.com and, of course, support me on the Patreon or wherever else. You guys are fantastic. So, like this. That's it, guys. We're all making Gotham great again. I'm going to get some hot tea for my throat. Thank you so much. Shave the knuckles for justice.